But we're not done yet, because it's my pleasure today to announce Mac OS X. This is, I hope, also going to blow you away. We are announcing Mac OS X here today. I'd like to go over the goals for Mac OS X. First, we are going to have a single OS strategy at Apple. We're not going to have a dual or a triple or a quadruple OS strategy like some others. We're going to have one OS. And that's very important to us. The second is, the Mac OS needs state-of-the-art plumbing. We need the best operating system kernel technology, the best internet networking in the world. Right? We need the best plumbing of any operating system out there. Third, we need killer graphics. Almost every app depends on graphics, whether it's design and publishing apps for our pro customers down to things that we use every day. We need killer graphics in this system. And we need to design it for the internet from the start. We need to design it in a way that most users who are always plugged into the internet get full benefits. We need to design it in such a way that we use internet standards throughout, and we've done that. And we need a gentle migration, because we have 25 million users using our current generation operating systems. So these were the goals for Mac OS X. But to sum it up, it was make the next great personal computer operating system. Now, there's going to be a 12-month rollout of Mac OS X. You can't do these things overnight. It's going to be a 12-month rollout. So we are announcing it today, January 2000. Our developers have already had a few betas of the software. They're going to get another pre-release of the software at the end of this month. The final beta will go out to developers this spring. Mac OS X will be on sale as a software product starting this summer, and we will be preloading it on all machines a year from now. So that is our rollout strategy. Now, I'd like to go through the architecture of Mac OS X with you. To start off with, we need a kernel. And that kernel we call Darwin. Darwin's amazing. It's a super modern kernel. And it's got protected memory, preemptive multitasking, modern networking, all the things you'd expect, done in a very elegant way. And it's very Linux-like, very much so. It's got free BSD Unix, which is the same as Linux. So it looks almost the same to developers. It's got a mock microkernel, and it's completely open source. You can go to Apple's website today and download it, as 75,000 people already have. It's completely open source, and we're getting a lot of help from the Mac community to make it better and better and better. So we're extremely excited about Darwin. The next layer on top of Darwin is killer graphics. We've got three components: our 2D, which is Quartz, our 3D, which is OpenGL, and our media layer, which is QuickTime. And they're all seamlessly integrated right into the operating system. So let's take a look at Quartz. Quartz is PDF-based. What does that mean? You know when you go to the web and you see PDF documents, you read them with Acrobat, this great technology invented by Adobe? Well, that technology is now at the core of Mac OS X's graphics. So you can image PDFs instantly. We have on-the-fly PDF rendering, anti-aliasing, and compositing, which will blow you away, built at the core of the OS. So now all applications get this for free. And we have built-in transparency into the model. And I'll show you that in a few minutes. Our OpenGL 3D standard is the most widely supported 3D standard in the industry. It's very advanced, and we have full hardware support for it, built in, again, to the core of the operating system. And obviously, QuickTime for digital video and audio, live internet streaming, internet standard, 33% market share, built into the core of the OS. So those are our killer graphics. The next layer are our APIs, the things that our developers program to. And there are three of them in Mac OS X: Classic, Carbon, and Cocoa. Classic, and the reason for this is to provide a gentle migration for people from the left to the right over time. Mac OS 9. Classic runs Mac OS 9 apps as is, without modification. So you can run your Mac OS 9 apps right on Mac OS 10. You do not get all of the new features, however, because it's impossible to do technically. But they all run, and they run well. Carbonized apps get the new features. Now, what's a carbonized app? It's something that takes a developer a few months, 1 to 3 months, to carbonize their app to get it ready for OS 10, and all of a sudden it springs to life with all of the new features of OS 10. And the third API is Cocoa. It's completely different. It's fully object-oriented. You can write applications in Java or other object-oriented languages and get all of those benefits. So developers can choose any one of these they want. They can run the existing apps in Classic. They can spend a very short amount of time carbonizing their app to get all the new features, which we think everybody will. Or for new applications, they can write them in Cocoa and get all of the benefits of Apple's incredibly advanced object-oriented technology. So that is the API layer. So this is the architecture. Except there's one more thing. The one more thing is we have been secretly, for the last 18 months, designing a completely new user interface. And that new user interface builds on Apple's legacy and carries it into the next century. And we call that new user interface Aqua, because it's liquid. One of the design goals was when you saw it, you wanted to lick it. And so we call it Aqua, and this is the architecture for Mac OS X. And we are incredibly, incredibly excited and pleased with how this has turned out. Now, when we talk about user interfaces, let me show you. This is it. No. This is what started it all, right? The original Macintosh in 1984, 512 by 384, dots on the screen, black and white, kicked off a revolution. And we saw others follow in the late 80s. This is Windows 3.1 in the late 80s. And Apple followed up in the mid-90s with the current user interface called Platinum, still the best thing out there. And then this is Windows 98, which obviously came out in 98. So these are the user interfaces out there. They're all credible. They all work. How do we take this to the next level? Well, let me show you a few slides on Aqua, and then I'd like to demonstrate it for you. So this, you get a little feeling for what Aqua may be like. So I'd like to just start off, you know, when you design a new user interface, you have to start off humbly. You have to start off saying, what are the simplest elements in it? What does a button look like? And you spend months working on a button. That's a button in Aqua. This is what radio buttons look like. Simple things. This is what checkboxes look like. This is what pop-up lists look like. Again, you're starting to get the feel of this, a little different. This is what sliders can look like, right? Now let me show you Windows. This is what the top of Windows look like. These three buttons look like a traffic signal, don't they? Red means close the window, yellow means minimize the window, and green means maximize the window. Pretty simple. And tremendous fit and finish in this operating system. When you roll over these things, you get those. You see them? You know? And when you are no longer the key window, you know, they go transparent. Right? So a lot of fit and finish in this. In addition to the fit and finish, we paid a lot of attention to dynamics. Not only how do things look, but how do they move? How do they behave? And our goal in this user interface was twofold. One, we wanted to give a much more powerful user interface to our pro customers. But two, at the very same time, we wanted to make this the dream user interface for somebody who's never even touched a computer before. And that's really hard to do. It's like when we do films at Pixar. It's really easy. It's a lot easier to make a film that appeals to 5-year-olds and under. But it's very difficult to make one film that 5-year-olds love and that their parents also love. And that was the goal of this user interface, to make it span the range so that our people turning on their iMac for the first time were enchanted with it and it was super easy to use. And yet our pro customers also felt, my God, this takes me to places I thought I could never get to. And that's what we tried to do. We also have proxies built right in, so when you want to drag a document off, you can just drag this little proxy off very nicely. And these are what scroll bars look like. Right? So, let me go ahead and show this to you. If everything works, this is, very few people have seen this until today. We've kept this very secret, and it's my pleasure to show it to you now. So, let me first show you what a control panel looks like, just some controls. So I'll just open one of these preferences control panels. This is sound. Again, you can see what sliders look like here. Pop-up lists, checkboxes, radio buttons, checkboxes. Now, one of the things we didn't want to do was to put a big black circle around the button that gets activated when you hit return. So what did we do? We're using the fact that, we have a gigaflop sitting here. Maybe we can do something with it. And so very gently, we just dim and brighten the button to say, hey, this is the one that's going to get activated if you hit return, and clean up the user interface. Let me just show you another one here real quick. Another preference panel. And so we think these look a little bit better than the current system does here. Same sort of thing, right? Very, very simple. So those are some panels. Now I'd like to show you some windows. This is a window here. And notice when I drag the windows around, it drags the contents around. It also does that on resizing. You notice this? Kind of nice. And you see the scroll bars here. Again, proportional scroll bars. You see what happens when they move. They come and go as necessary. And you can see our 3 buttons at the top here, right? So put the window away, etc. And you'll also notice, let me bring up another one here. You'll also notice that the windows have wonderful shadows on them. Can you see the shadows on the right of this window? Maybe if I bring up a text document, you can see it even better against white. You see that against the white there? All right. See that? Very, very subtle, very nice. And windows don't even need to be the activated window to put them away. These controls, I can roll over and just put this thing away. Right? Very nice. So now what I'm going to do is show you an incredible thing that some of our geniuses came up with. In Mac OS, we'll touch upon this a lot, Mac OS generates a ton of windows, and you get to be the janitor and clean them all up. And one of the most annoying is panels, right? Like a save panel. So you go to save, and a save panel comes up. Now, a lot of times it's modal, so you can't do anything else in the machine, even on another app. That's ridiculous. But even if you could do something on another app, by the time you come back, you've forgotten which window or document that save panel's for. And you got to manage it and move it all around. How could we simplify this whole thing? Well, let me show you. So here's a window, and I'll do a save as right now. See that? All right. Simple. And so, I can be, oh, yes. And I can have, as an example, I can have a few of these up here, right? And I can just say, let's save this one. And it's very clear, what that pertains to. I can go do something else if I want to. And when I come back, I know exactly what that thing pertains to. Now, what happens, though, if the window's really small? I mean, we've got to think these things through, and I want to save that. Well, this is what happens. And what happens now? What happens if this thing's up against the side and I hit save as? Well, that's what happens. Just puts it back when you're done. Now, let me show you something else that's cool. You'll notice that the Save panel looks a little different than you've seen before. It actually is very simple. You might be able to understand it. And so you could type something in here, and you have this pop-up list, which has your favorite places, which you get to manage what's in there, and your recent places you've saved stuff. And so most of the time, 99% of the time, when you want to save something, you just pick somewhere like Documents and go save. Pretty simple, huh? But if a place that you want to save something isn't there, you just hit this button, and you get a full browser here. And so if you know your network, you can just go around your network, you know, pick wherever you want. All right? Boom, boom. Wherever you'd like to save it, or just hide that. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Make sense? Right. Okay. We're just getting started. Next, all of what you've seen now is possible because of the killer graphics that are built right into Mac OS X. And these killer graphics are extraordinary. And what I'd like to do now is demonstrate Quartz to you, just some of the features of Quartz. First of all, again, Quartz is totally PDF-based. And so what I can do is I can go get some things here. Let's go to the Finder. Let's go to Documents. And down here, I've got some things from Toy Story here. Hey, by the way, how many of you saw Toy Story 2? We're very fortunate today to have the director of Toy Story 2, John Lasseter, and the co-directors, Lee Unkrich and Ash Brannon, in the audience. Where are they? Where are you? Stand up, guys. Where are you? Yeah. So I'm going to use some Toy Story logo stuff because I love Toy Story. And so here I just dragged the PDF right into here. You notice how fast it imaged, by the way. And you notice that it's fully anti-aliased. And I can resize it like this if I want to. I can rotate it. I can do whatever I want. And I can put a shadow on it if I want to. And again, you know, just to do anything I really want to. This is all being calculated on the fly. And you notice the shadow's on the bottom now, and they stay on the bottom, right? So very simple. So I've got Toy Story here. Let me just go ahead and drag in the story here. And we'll put that maybe up here, like this. And we'll drag in our 2. And make that a little bit smaller, maybe. Oops. Make it a little bit smaller here. And now, let me just show you something. Let me take story here, and I'll go ahead and put shadows and everything, because it makes it harder, actually. And let me go ahead and show you transparency. This is what transparency is. See that? So we can do any partial transparency all throughout the system so easily. Now, every app can do this. It gets it for free. Let me go ahead and drag in a photograph as an example. Now, you know, what does every kid in the country have on their minds? You know? Right? Isn't that great? So another thing I can do if I want to is, again, I could, you know, open up Mail and decide I want to send this to somebody. And since the whole system is PDF-based, I can, you know, I can just drag this into a, oh, I got to get a new viewer. And let me just get a compose window up here. And I can just take this thing and drag it out here. Notice how it makes a little PDF icon, and drag it over here. And just drop it in. Boom. Now it's imaged in my Mail view. OK, so that's what we're doing with PDF. And it's system-wide, these incredibly killer graphics system. So now I'd like to show you one of the coolest things about Mac OS X. When Apple shipped the original Macintosh, it introduced to the market an organizing principle called the desktop, to organize your work, to keep track of things. And as computers got more complicated, i.e. you could work on many things at once, we have internet connections and email coming in and out and stuff, there has never been an enhancement of that organizing principle that work really well to help you manage all these things you're doing at once. And we have come up with something really great for Mac OS X, and it's called the dock. And I'd like to show it to you now. This is the dock. It's at the bottom of the screen. It always stays centered. And it allows me to put things into it. I can put all sorts of different things into it. How do I put things into it? Well, I can drag things into it. But let me show you a much cooler way to get things into it. I've got these three buttons up here. One closes the window, the other maximizes it, the third minimizes it, the middle one. Where does it go when a window minimizes? Well, it goes here. And you notice my dock just grows, right? Let me open another one. Minimize it. And of course, I can move these things around in the dock anywhere I want to, right? Whoops, I didn't want to do that, sorry. And I can just hit them, miniaturize them, boom, boom. Pretty cool, huh? Let me even show, I can slow this down. We built in a special slow-mo mode for the demo here today. Look at this. Isn't that cool? It's just magical. And it shows you exactly where they go. Again, it's that same, we call it the genie effect, that the sheets use when they come out. And I can just play with it all day long, actually. So, let me even show you one other thing here. This is particularly amazing. I'm going to get my Mission Impossible QuickTime movie back up here. And there it is. And so why don't we go ahead and, play some of this.
Agent Loki.
Let's go ahead and minimize it, huh? Pretty cool, huh?
Sorry I barged in on your vacation.
And we're going to make it so you can even watch them when they're in the dock. So, pretty cool. Now, let me go ahead and show you, though, what happens, let's say, with the dock. Let's open a few more of these things. And let's say I go ahead and, miniaturize these things. And I'll go ahead and turn the speed back up here. I miniaturize more things. And then I can also drag things into the dock. But what happens now the dock is full? What do I do? Well, it just shrinks a little bit. Right? And I can put anything in here I want. I can put websites. I can put documents. I can put anything, applications, anything that I use, and I can rearrange them at will. And the dock just accommodates anything I want. When I drag something out, it gets bigger. Right? Now, a question would be, well, how small can it get? Well, it can get pretty small, actually. You can actually set the maximum tile size, and it'll shrink from there if you have more stuff. But you can actually say, well, it'll get really small. I can hold like 128 things here. How would I ever see them, though, if they get this small, or if I even prefer them this small? Well, we have something we call magnification, which works kind of like this. Right? And so you can turn magnification on, as large as you want. You just set how big you want them when they magnify, and you can set the maximum tile size. So you can keep them like this and, do anything you want. It's really, really cool. And if you don't like it at all, you can just hide it, and it'll just come up when you go down there. Very, very simple. Okay. So now, let me show you one last thing. I'm going to take some of these things out of the dock and turn magnification off. I'm going to get the dock back up a little bit bigger again. Oh, yeah, this thing is... Let's just quit that. And so my dock's a little bit bigger again. And oops. I can also change the size of icons on my desktop, by the way. Isn't that cool? Very simple. But I'm going to set my maximum tile size up large again. And drag this out. And so I've got, let me just go back here now to where I've got a few images up here. And so I've got 2 images up here. And let me go ahead and click a button that's on the right side of the top of the window pane. And this button is pretty cool. What it does is it says, you know, when we have a lot of windows around on our system, it can get rather confusing for beginners. And even for pros, if you're working back and forth between Illustrator and Photoshop, or Photoshop and something else, these things can get very complicated on the screen. What could we do to make life easier for our pro customers and for beginners? We came up with something pretty neat. And you can click it from any window. You can turn it off and on, and it's called single window mode. So you just click this, and every other window on the screen is miniaturized. And when I click another window, boom, they switch places. It's very easy. So let me put this one over here. And I say, boom, I want that one. No, I want that one. No, I really want that one. And let me go ahead and show this to you in slow-mo here. It's kind of fun. Pretty cool, huh? I can even show you some text here. Again, I launched a new app. The other one put itself away. Whoops, there we go. You know? Pretty cool, huh? So, this is Mac OS X. This is our foundation for the next decade of Macintosh operating systems. And we are thrilled with it.
I'm spent. I've never seen anything like this. It's just unbelievable. I'm speechless. This isn't. It's not your daddy's operating system launch, you know. Come to you know, lend support for the new operating system, and you just don't expect anything like this. I mean, I'm sitting here in the audience, 15 minutes into it, and you know, we're watching the movie scene as kids, and I realize I'm welling up with tears. I am. I mean, probably a lot of you as kids are doing the same thing, and I just, I mean, Apple is design. You know, everything you see here, you want. You want as a consumer. You just look at it, and it's beautiful.